So let's look at one example question. So same thing, two answer choices that you need to select so that they fit into this. So what I would recommend is pass the video and try on your own. Technique that we've discussed, right? Technique, step 1, pairs. Only look at the options, don't look at the statement. Step 2, look at the statement and fill in the blank with your own words. And step 3, connect both. Right? So now try this technique, pause the video and try to first pick the pairs and then the statement and connect them with your own words, and then connect both. Hope you have tried and given a shot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to again make it a little bit easier for you. That is getting half of the job done by giving the meaning of these words. So let's look at the meanings of these words. So now try the same process again. Pause the video. See if you have made any mistake with the pairs. Maybe you didn't know certain words, so you couldn't manage to get the pairs done for that. Now because you know the meanings, the technique, the reason why we are giving meanings is that the whole point of us discussing this is not to teach you the words, it's more to do about how to apply the techniques that would be helpful for you to get the right answer. Right, so the words part that you have to take care. Definitely we have a couple of videos on vocabulary, so but you have to definitely work upon the lists, and maybe if you can read Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis, that's the best book to work on. If you can put the effort and time, whatever you do, somehow you have to work upon improving your list using whatever suits you the best, flashcards or the apps or maybe the books, whatever. Hope you have tried by passing the video, or if not, just pass and try it again to make the page and see the suitable word now. Okay, so let's look at the options first. Orthodox is being ordinary or usual, normal, or rather I would say traditional, like nothing new, nothing different. You have your orthodox style, something like that, right? Traditional and the normal, ordinary stuff. Eccentric is like an unusual behavior. It's eccentric behavior is like unusual behavior, unconventional and slightly strange. They have to understand eccentric is not used in the positive sense mostly. It's used in the negative, like slightly strange. Like if you see someone behaving abnormally, like eccentric fundamentally means X plus centric, so outside the center, so out of box, out of it. But you don't appreciate someone saying that you got an eccentric idea. It's more like you're saying that, okay, this looks a bit strange. It's unusual, but it's also strange, not in a positive sense, but in a negative, slightly negative sense. Original, not dependent on other people's ideas, right? Inventive, novel, like novel is like the new ideas, novel ideas, so like new stuff, right? So that's like original, being creative of your own stuff. Trifling is unimportant or trivial, normal stuff. Conventional, based on or in accordance with what is generally done or believed. Right, so conventional is like pretty much orthodox, like traditional, doing what is already known. You just stick to it and don't do something new. Innovative is featuring new methods, advanced and original, like trying to come up with the new ideas and stuff. That's being innovative and etc. Here I see two pairs. Orthodox and conventional is looking like one pair, right? And the original and innovative is another pair, right? So original is not dependent on other ideas, so you're coming up with new ideas, inventive ideas. Innovative is also coming up with new stuff. So these two make sense. Orthodox and conventional is like you're being traditional, doing what is already known and accepted, nothing new, nothing different. And if you closely observe, those two are also in a way antonyms, like they're opposite in meaning. Being innovative and original is one thing, being orthodox and conventional is like sticking to what is known, nothing new stuff. So they are not exactly opposites, but there is some sense of them being in opposite in meaning. Eccentric and trifling, they are individual words which have no relation with other words, so I don't call that. Maybe you can argue trivial, normal stuff with link to orthodox and conventional, but I don't see that as good a pair as these two will make. So now let's get to the next step. Read the sentence. Although it does contain some pioneering ideas, pioneering is like coming up with the new and like original stuff. So although, so here again see the pivot word is although, although, right? It does contain some new ideas. Let me replace it simple words, new and interesting, innovative ideas. One would hardly characterize the author's new work as. So what is this statement saying? Yes, it does contain some new ideas. Although is like, yes, it does contain, but but though it has some new ideas, but I would hardly, or one would hardly characterize the author's new work as. So what is this saying? So this is saying the book or the work of author, right, has some new ideas, but, so this should obviously take in the opposite direction, right? So it has new ideas, so basically what should it has? It has no new ideas. One would hardly characterize the work as a book with no new ideas, or it's not new, it's not innovative, right? So that's what here you have to be very careful. One would hardly characterize. This is another word that you see. So but is one pivot, sorry, not but, here we have although, right? Although is one pivot, but here you also see the word called hardly characterize. What does that mean? One would call the author's new work as something is one thing, but one would hardly characterize is basically saying one would not call, or one would not say the author's new work as something. So although is one negative and this is also one negative. So the word that should be here is something that is similar to the new ideas or new stuff. Are you getting what I'm saying? I'll come again. Let's see this part. So talking about the author's work, the first one is saying that new ideas. So it does contain some new ideas. Then I see a pivot word although, which is taking you into a negative direction. But you also have this word like not. Though you don't see not here, but I'm using it because it's a one would hardly characterize the author's new work as. So that's like another negative word not. So basically this plus this both negative will take you again into the same direction, basically saying that here I should have something like one would hardly characterize the author's new work as, you know, as some work with new ideas, innovative ideas, or etc, etc, right? Creative, original stuff. That is what I should fit here, and obviously innovative and original is the right pair for me. So that's when I connect both. But this is something that will be very careful. This sentence is indeed a bit difficult. If you look at it carefully, you'll get that. It's not that difficult if you look at it carefully. Although it does contain some new ideas, one would hardly characterize. That basically means one would hardly say, that is, one would not say that the author's new work is innovative. Right? You should understand this. It does have new ideas. I agree with that. But if it's only simple one pivot, negative pivot, it should have been talking about, but it is something like this. Okay, let me use the same. Although it does contain some new pioneering ideas, one would call it as orthodox, right? Or conventional. I would pick that. Because it does contain new ideas, but there is one pivot word, negative pivot word although, which would take it in the opposite direction. It has some new ideas, but I would call it as orthodox because it only has some new ideas. Most of the other stuff is very normal and ordinary stuff, which is traditional. So one would call it as orthodox. But that's not is what happening here. Why? Because I have another negative word. It says one would hardly say it. Hardly is like would not say it. Hardly is like hardly, right? I would not say it that frequently, just very rarely. Otherwise something like not wholeheartedly, maybe like some way I would say okay. So one would hardly characterize the author's new work. This is another negative pivot. So although and not two negative pivots will make it to this direction, that although it does contain some new ideas, one would hardly characterize the author's new work as innovative or the work with new or pioneering ideas. Right? It does have it, but I would not call it as something with pioneering ideas. That's what the statement is. So that's why original and innovative are the right pair. Right? Even if you could make them pairs, if you don't get this properly, you might go with the wrong one. Sometimes it might happen that this would be a bit tricky when they give you pairs, but which are like, if you don't read it correctly, if there was no hardly part, one would characterize the author's new work as, then I would have said orthodox and conventional. Sorry, I did the pairs part here somewhere wrong, my bad. Anyways, the pairs are the original and the innovative, and the conventional and orthodox. Somewhere I did the mistake. Okay. Anyway, so the answer is innovative and original for this, but you have to be careful in filling the blank also.